Hello everyone, welcome to Fluttercon 2025 here in Berlin, and we are here with another interview with Ivanna. I'll let her introduce herself.
Yes, hi everyone. I am Ivanna, and I have been working with Flutter for around 5 years now, and I am currently a lead software engineer at Latvian telecom company, which is called LMT, short for Latvia's Mobilized Telephones.
Excellent. And so, like you mentioned, you've been in Flutter for about 5 years
Yes.
now. What initially drew you to the technology and to the community as a whole?
Oh yeah, so when COVID hit the world and many companies went on remote, some countries were on lockdown, some online courses and educational platforms, they had kind of promotions of all kinds. So I enrolled in a course which was free at that time because of the COVID that was called Introduction to Flutter Development Using Dart by Angela Yu from App Brewery. And I finished that course. I launched my first kind of pet app to the App Store and Google Play the same year. And a year later, I got my full-time job as a Flutter developer. And I didn't really think about the community aspect back then, but I got hit up on LinkedIn from my Flutterista, fellow Flutterista, Daria Orlova. And she told me, hey, come up to a meetup in Riga that she was an organizer of. And I came there. That's how I met some initial people. And then in 2023, I was at my first conference, which was here, Fluttercon, Berlin, of course. And a year later, I was back as a speaker here. And this year, actually hosting 3 sessions.
Very, very busy.
Yes.
Without a doubt. You've also won multiple hackathons and
Yes.
competitions. What kind of things have those taught you in terms of being a developer and what it takes?
Yeah, my talk last year here at Fluttercon was about my tips and tricks for hackathons. And it's available online, so if you guys are interested in that, make sure to go and watch it. But if I could choose just 1 or 2 tips, I think number 1 would be, of course, time management and being able to focus on MVP first. And the same goes for your day-to-day job. Build the main feature or like the skeleton of the app first, and then if you have time, polish the small details. And maybe something else that I could mention specifically for hackathons is that if you plan to release your app to App Store or Google Play, always think about how much time it takes to actually go through the review, because that's what people seem to underestimate.
Oh yes, and I think it's an ever-increasing amount of time as well.
Yes, exactly.
It's a very painful process. Brilliant. So your roundtable that you did yesterday
Yes.
was all about using Flutter in with AI and kind of what things are actually useful in that. Were there any kind of interesting conversations that came out of that?
Yeah, for sure. So at the AI roundtable yesterday, we saw that most of us, I would say everyone, is using AI either for pet projects or actually many of the folks use it in production apps already. And yeah, there are still some limitations and some challenges to that, but people shared all sorts of different tips and use cases. And one interesting one was when someone actually created like a chat version of their boss, which was AI,
Okay.
with their boss personality. And to be effective at their work, before they would ask something from the actual human, they are asking the AI boss, and most of the time, it's able to help. So that's
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Well,
that was an interesting one.
Yeah, that's very interesting. I wonder how the boss feels
Yeah,
about that.
to be replaced, right?
Yeah, like I said, you were doing the roundtable on AI. So in your own personal experience, how have you been utilizing AI in your own development processes?
I can say I'm quite careful about it, especially when it comes to my work and not just, playing around with it. I would definitely use it for some boring stuff, like
Sure.
generating some boilerplate or, I don't know, some API services, kind of the straightforward stuff. And I would not trust it that much for something more important. And I also noticed that actually AI is quite a people pleaser.
Yeah.
So it would tell you like, this solution is comprehensive, blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
which doesn't always mean that it is.
No, no.
So yeah, I would say don't just take its compliments as a green light to merge your code, because you have to double check and fact check.
That's something you have to be very careful about,
Yes.
is still having that ability to check the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I guess on the on that sort of side of things, is there any other kind of rules or boundaries that you do set with your AI use? Things that you're like, no, that's off limits.
I would not, and I think this answer may actually change a year from now, right? But for today, I would not let AI to do like a large refactor of a legacy code,
Sure.
or maybe not even a large refactor at all.
Yeah.
Personally, in my like blacklisted commands is also git commit or git push.
Yep.
I'm not just allowing agent to do that. Yeah, I think that would be it for the boundaries.
You always want to be able to stop anything
Yeah,
bad happening
yeah,
before it
and
happens.
revert.
Exactly. Like, yep, no, that hasn't worked. Try again. The other roundtable that you led was on monetization.
Yes.
So again, was there any kind of interesting topics that came out of that?
Oh yeah, that was a great roundtable as well. We have many people coming from different industries, and they were sharing their kind of tips and tricks how to convert users. Also from gaming industry.
Interesting.
That was really insightful, because these guys, they really know how monetizing apps and advertisement, how all of that stuff worked.
Yep.
And one tip that was also kind of insightful was that you not only need to A/B test your app screenshots or like paywalls of different designs, but actually also an app icon.
Oh, okay.
And for the person sharing that, it actually made difference in converting users.
Yeah.
Which app icon you are using.
Normal apps, if you like, very much lag behind the game industry
Yeah.
for monetization.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
We're all very familiar with subscriptions and in-app purchases for games, but
Yeah, we
maybe-
should learn from them.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's something that there's experience to had there, and it's always kind of been a balance as well. You want to monetize your app. You want to make it into a business, or make sure it's making money, and certainly make sure it's not
Yeah.
losing money. But at the same time, you want to keep a good user experience. You don't want to ruin the experience for the people using it. Have you got any kind of tips or insights into balancing that in a good way?
The simplest thing that you can do is just put yourself in user's shoes. Because when you think about it, do you want a video ad popping up right in your face when you're doing something in the app? Most of us do not.
No.
And your users probably do not either. So also there is like the whole UX philosophy on what is the right time to show a paywall or to show an ad or rate this app prompt, whatever. And we as a developers, we can study UX, right? We can study what are those flows in the app when it's a good time and it's a good psychology to show a paywall to the user. And some examples that people mentioned yesterday at the roundtable were like, when you save your progress in the app, that's like a positive action. So that's the right time to show a paywall.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I think that's something that's I've definitely personally struggled with in the past, is finding a good balance, and you kind of get to the point of, oh, I just won't do it. And it's like, well, you're missing out, because people do want to support your app, and people do want to get involved. So for developers that do want to start looking at monetization and really adding that into their Flutter apps, are there any tools or packages that you kind of recommend for them to look at?
I personally had really good results with Revenue Cat. I've used that, and also many people yesterday mentioned this tool. And of course, the sensor is not affiliated by Revenue Cat in any way, but people seem to really love the tool. Also, I think when you start, just when you do your first project with monetization, you might think, okay, this is quite straightforward. I will just use this or that. But when you actually do that, there are so many edge cases. There's testing, there is sandboxing, and all of that stuff, that if you can afford someone to take care of that, like a third party, just do that. And that's when tools like Revenue Cat come in handy. Also, because they will take care of the billing API changes, the compatibilities, the native ones, because most of the Flutter apps are deployed on both platforms, at least Android and iOS.
Of course. No, I think, again, yeah, obviously other examples are available, but
Yeah.
Revenue Cat are doing some very good things.
Yes.
There's no two ways
Yes,
about it.
that's
and
true.
They are definitely succeeding. So, on to your third, like I said, she's been very busy.
Yeah,
Onto
yeah,
your-
that's true.
onto your third session, which is
Yes.
a workshop around vibe coding.
Yes.
For anyone that might have been living under a rock, what is vibe coding? It's particularly for Flutter developers.
Yeah, so the vibe coding is a term from earlier this year, and it practically means that AI writes code and you do not. So you just prompt, and then you press confirm, accept, yes, 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 I agree, and you do not go to the actual files and make changes by yourself. So you just vibe through it.
How do you think vibe coding and AI in general has kind of changed that, I guess, initial prototyping, creative process that a lot of people go through when they first have an idea?
Yeah, I think the creativity aspect of it is interesting because there are two ways you can look at it. First of all, before all the AI stuff, when you were fixing a bug, that's an interesting job to do because you are the detective. You're also a criminal, but you get to investigate this crime, right?
Yeah.
And you get this dopamine when you finally solve the problem. This is gone now. If you just ask your agent to find the issue, and maybe it will be successful, but there is no creativity, no fun in that. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, prototyping. For example, if you don't know how Custom Painter works, but you want to create a drawing app,
Sure.
you don't have to know this anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or how do you implement a bucket fill tool? You don't have to know the how. You can just be creative and just, come up with all the ideas, and AI will actually know how to do the stuff technically.
Yep.
So you just get to, work without those technical boundaries.
No, I think it's definitely an interesting thing. Something I've also been kind of experimenting with from that kind of prototyping stage. Like, it's interesting to see what AI can come up with,
Yeah.
and both the ways it comes up with ideas that I wouldn't have thought about.
Yes.
Then it's also interesting to see when it goes wrong. and
Yeah,
you're
when
like,
it fails.
This code isn't going to run.
Yeah.
you've made up nonsense.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea, but it's not going to work. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting kind of addition to that process. What do you think? It's kind of something we've touched on a little bit already, but what do you think are some of the limitations of using AI? Maybe specifically in the Flutter world.
I think, again, this answer probably will be different a year from now.
Of course.
But when I created my own repo of different Flutter AI rules, the reason for creating that was because I noticed that I am repeating myself over and over with asking to refine the same things. And that's normally a signal when you are ready to do some rules for yourself and save them because you're repeating this every day.
Yeah.
And in my case, that would be some specific stuff from library documentation, like, no, this is how Riverpod works. This is how you define this stuff, or this is how Mocktail works.
Yeah.
You did it wrong. So I kind of just saved that into some MD files, and then the agent got better with this. So the answer to your question is that still today, I think the biggest limitation is the lack of Flutter, Dart, and library context or knowledge.
Yep.
And of course, this is expected given the training data.
Sure.
It's not in Flutter and Dart mostly. So I think, yeah, of course we have that still, but we have MCP, now we have Dart MCP that we can use to help with this. Web search, I think that should not be underestimated. If you just enable web search and just say, okay, fact check or check the documentation. We have tools like Context 7. You can use custom rules. And now actually in the Flutter docs, we have the template with Flutter rules that is
Yep.
like the official one.
Okay.
So we can use that as well. There's a bunch of tools we can use to help with this issue.
And I guess before we kind of wrap up, I'm going to kind of ask you to predict the future a little bit.
Okay.
And like you said, a lot of the answers you're giving now
Yeah.
are not going to be the same in a year's time. What are some kind of things you think might happen this time next year? What might we be talking about that's evolved? It's a very difficult question, but
It is, because I don't think many people actually can know the answer. So we are guessing here. But given how everything evolves and how companies are investing in building this all-in-one agents that can code from one prompt, I think we will be able to overcome all the lack of technical knowledge limits.
yep.
And I think it will be quite easy to just say in Firebase Studio or whatever tool, just say, okay, give me a production-ready app of this complexity and get a decent result in a short amount of time.
Well, thank you very much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course, thank you.
Thanks.